If you love fashion but you hate waste, this video is for you. These are the 7 steps to becoming a sustainable shopper. You take it step by step, or you can mix and match. Every step counts, and you get a metaphorical pat on the back for every single one. It starts off super realistic as well, so it's not like you have to suddenly stop shopping, but nor do you have to suddenly only shop secondhand or only buy from sustainable brands. So let's get into them. Step 1, shop local and independent. It lowers fuel usage of shipping from around the world. It lowers your petrol usage for travelling out of town to shop, and it supports the local business, which can only be a good thing because independent shops are what keep us shopping local. Step 2, shop mindfully and look for sustainable certifications. Whether you've heard of it or not, there's something called greenwashing going on. This is where brands tell us that they're doing something good for the environment when in fact they're not. And whilst every little step helps, actually taking these steps for consumer reasons, i.e. saying, look how good we are, shop with us, rather than saying, look what good we're doing for the planet, it negates any of the good things that they're doing. This is where shopping mindfully comes in. There's some amazing resources out there. I highly recommend Andrea Cheong, who often talks about looking at the actual workings that go into the fabrication of a lot of the products that are made in different brands and whether or not they're worth shopping from. Beyond that, it's just being aware of what's going on in the world. So when I say shop mindfully, I mean just do a bit of research before you shop. There's an app called the Good On You app, which is fantastic, and you can check the brands that you're shopping from to see whether or not they're actually doing their best. It's just starting to get used to knowing who you're shopping from and whether or not it's actually something you want to buy into. We vote for the world we want with the money we spend. Certifications are always worth checking because, as I say, a lot of brands say we're using recycled materials and they're not. It's essentially a third-party certification that this brand is doing its best. If you want to do a bit of research, some to start with are Cradle to Cradle, GOTS, GOTS and WRAP, W-R-A-P. Step 3, shop sustainable and upcycling brands. Sustainable brands are ones which basically take the time to make sure that they are working within a loop of circularity rather than just taking stuff from the planet, making fashion, people wear it once and then it goes to landfill. So it's all in a straight line. It might be that they're using product that is already out there and fabric that's already been turned into something else. It might be that they're actually actively buying more expensive fabric to start the process. So the cheap fabric that we get from places like Shein, there's not a lot of time and energy gone into producing that, and it's literally just sapping resources from the earth. Brands who are using fabric that's already in circulation are a fantastic way to shop sustainably. And upcycling brands are ones that are taking something that's already in existence and literally turning it into something else. There are some incredible businesses out there doing great work to support this, one of which is Fiber Lab, and I highly recommend you take a look at them. Again, this is just about shopping mindfully, but it's just taking that next step and choosing to only shop from brands that are already showing that they are doing the work for you, so you don't have to worry when you buy from them, you know you're shopping sustainably. Step 4 is shopping new pre-loved or renting. This is a really simple one. All you do is shop secondhand, but you only buy things that still have their labels on them. So you're buying pre-loved, but if you're someone who's not yet ready to take that full leap into secondhand, this is a really nice way to make that first step. At this point, you might still be mixing it with the first 3, but this is that first step into accepting that pre-loved isn't so bad. And it's halfway to getting you to number 7, which is the best one if you want to be a sustainable shopper. When you go onto sites such as Vinted or eBay, just make sure you search for new with labels. You're taking an unwanted garment out of circulation and putting it back to somewhere that is going to be loved and used, which ultimately lowers its carbon footprint and stops it going to landfill. But you're still getting a new item, something that's been unworn. Bearing in mind though that a lot of the clothes that we get in shops with labels brand new have been tried on in the changing rooms or perhaps have been bought and sent back. So it's not that every item we ever buy and wear is unworn. It is that little step towards getting used to the idea of actively choosing something that has already been worn before. Renting is something that's becoming more and more useful to people, especially people who are wanting to be more sustainable and circular in the way that they shop and wear clothes. There are some incredible brands. Once again, you've got By Rotation, The Devout, Her and Higher Street. They are all across different levels of budget and there's something for everyone. Some of them allow you to rent for a whole month. Some of them you might prefer to just hire for 1 or 2 nights, perhaps for a special event or an interview. Step 5, shop from the charity shops, pre-loved or vintage, both in-store and online. For me, this is where we get to the good bit, because this is where you've suddenly opened up the gates of all the places and all the brands and all the ways you can shop. Once you're in a mindset that actually pre-loved isn't so bad and you can just pop things in the washing machine, the floodgates have opened, and this is where the fun really can begin. Not everyone's aware of this, but most of the charities that you see on the high street actually also have online shops. As an ex-manager for cancer research, I know that we used to send some of our best pieces to eBay. So it's definitely worth checking out the different charities that you want to support, but go to their online section. Obviously, if we're going to talk about just sustainability, then shopping in person is best because you're negating the need for them to travel by post, and that will up their carbon footprint. But we're just talking about being a sustainable shopper, and this is a fantastic place to go. Most of them do have a lot of unused, unworn, still with tagged items as well. So if you're still not sure, just take that first step, pop into a charity shop, maybe with a friend for support, and just see what it's like. Pre-loved does what it says on the tin. This is where you can shop from eBay or Vinted. It doesn't have to be from a charity shop, so if you still have that kind of block around charity shopping, then pre-loved is a really good way to go. And vintage, obviously. Vintage is where you get some of the best pieces. There was no rush and hurry to get 52 different collections out a year with vintage. The pieces were made properly, and we're not talking that long ago. Even in the 90s, pieces were made properly. They had proper lining, they had proper seams, they weren't falling apart. If you look at even the original New Look items from Y2K, they were much better made than they are now. But if we're going to talk proper vintage, we're going to go back to maybe the 40s or 50s, you'll really find some beautiful items. And whilst the sizing might be a little bit different, it's worth trying them on. So find a favourite vintage shop or website that you can go to, or perhaps an Instagram seller, and just keep checking back because there are some incredible pieces to be had. Step 6, swap, borrow and upcycle. Again, it does what it says on the tin. You're not shopping, but you're still getting beautiful new things for your wardrobe and getting that lovely dopamine hit of something new. And because you're going to be swapping potentially with people that you know, if you're borrowing from a friend or a family member, or you're going to a swapping event, such as the one run by Fine Tuned Wardrobe, you know that the pieces are going to have been well loved, well taken care of, washed, and they're fresh and ready to go. Upcycling is simply making something beautiful out of something you already own. Step 7, we've made it. You're officially a sustainable shopper. Shop your wardrobe and restyle what you own. I make videos all the time showing how you can take one item and style it in so many different ways with things you already own. At this point, your mindset has changed and you're no longer consuming just to own or just to hit a certain trend. You've probably, down these 7 steps, discovered your own sense of style and what that might be, away from trends. Perhaps you work with a stylist, perhaps you just go on Pinterest, perhaps you follow creators like myself who talk about sustainable fashion, or perhaps you've just discovered it all by yourself. Every day, go to your wardrobe with an open mind and just find something different to wear from it. The challenge is a bit of a dopamine hit in itself. Save for later or share to a friend who you think would love this and join the green glam journey.